it's Stephanie Vance, the advocacy guru at Advocacy Associates here again. And today I want to talk to you about developing an effective message. Now, we're in Washington, D.C., so naturally we have to have an acronym for this. The acronym is SPIT. That, again, is SPIT. Please don't spit at your legislators. But let me tell you what this acronym stands for. The S is for specific. And what I mean by that is being specific not just in terms of what you want, but also in terms of what the audience might want. So for example, it's very, very good to make a specific ask, i.e., please support this bill or please don't support this bill. But it's also good to make that in the context of what the audience might be most interested in. If you're talking to a more conservative member, you might talk about some of the economic and job development issues that are going to be most important to him or her. If you're talking to a more liberal member, you might talk about environmental issues or access issues. Those seem to be issues that are going to be of most interest to them. So remember S, specific. Now the P is for personal. And what I mean by that is your role is to really make a connection between the stuff that happens in the community and the stuff that happens in Washington, D.C. You do that best by telling a personal story. There's all kinds of lobbyists and special interests in Washington, D.C. that can give facts and figures and statistics, but what you really bring to the table is that local personal story. So think about what that story is, how you can connect it back to the policy issues that members of Congress are considering in Washington, D.C. Now the I is for informative. Yeah, I just said you had to tell a personal story, but you do want to put some words and facts around that personal story. Basically, the informative means why you want what you want, why it's important to the community that you represent or that you live in. And the T is for trustworthy. Now let me ask you this. How many of you asked your spouse or significant other, if you have one, to marry you on the first date? Sure, there are some, but not a lot of people do that. We had to build trust with that person before we could get them to agree with us. So we have to do the same thing with our members of Congress. I see too many people walk into a legislator's office and they say, hi, can I have $6 billion? And the legislator says no. And then that person thinks, wow, Congress never agrees with me. You have to build a relationship of trust. And you do that by engaging in some of the long-term relationship building activities that we discussed a little earlier in the how do you connect with them in the district. Now you can tie the SPIT acronym into a formula for delivering an effective message. The way I do this formula is to start with knowing of your interest in. So what that does is it talks to the legislator about what he or she is interested in. I believe that you will be interested in, and that's where you make the ask. This is important to us because that's where you tell the personal story. And that's why I really hope that you will, that's where you make the ask. I'd like to follow up by, that's where you ask for them for some ideas for following up, such as a district visit or a site visit. And perhaps most important, can I have the contact information for the relevant people in your office? Remember, it's not always a member of Congress you need to impress. Sometimes it's the staff person. So with that, I hope you can craft an effective message and not just be heard, but be agreed with on Capitol Hill. One of the ways that I hope that you'll consider doing that is to get a copy of The Influence Game. That's our 50 DC insider strategies on how to be an effective influencer. So with that, again, I'm Stephanie Vance, the advocacy guru at Advocacy Associates. I hope we've given you some ideas to truly be effective on Capitol Hill, and I'd like you at this point to go forth and advocate. Thanks.